So how's it going, guys? So this week on the PhantomCave YouTube channel, yes, it is Saturday, people, and today we're going to be talking about the review and breakdown of the 1943 Phantom serial. And you're probably wanting to ask that question, how did it get made? What are the certain elements in the chapters that we're going to be talking about, and anything else, and we'll get into it right now. The serial starts off with the death of the current Phantom. Now, his son, obviously being played by Tom Tyler, his son comes to his side and eventually takes up the mantle of the Phantom. So basically, we've got a death of the 20th Phantom. We've got his son, which is Tom Tyler, coming and taking the mantle of the Phantom. Now, what I'd like to just point out is that because it's a cliffhanger usually means every episode of every chapter of every serial actually ends in basically leaving a question mark on what could happen and what will happen. So what I'd like to say, I'm extremely proud of this 1943 Phantom serial, because if you take it's in 1943, it's been filmed possibly in the last couple of years or in the 1940s. And, well, we technically, video cameras, you're usually using film to create these unusual videos and these serials that many people at that time, I don't think, had heard of these movies. It's basically, for the last, we've probably got the last 10 years, movies were just coming in. We had, at that time, in 1943, we had the Second World War happening. So yeah, it's pretty remarkable that we've actually got a serial that firstly has been made in the Second World War. Secondly, it's been made in a world war. And the other thing that I'm pretty surprised about it is how they would have done it. I'm guessing they would have done it in each weekly on a certain theatre. And a lot of people where we've seen this new serial, and a lot of people who haven't experienced it for a while, and a lot of people who have those collectible items that sometimes get posted up on Instagram, and I'll be putting a couple of images up on the screen right now. It's just pretty remarkable that we've actually got this serial, we're able to watch it and experience what it has to give. So what happens in the first serial, basically the death of the Phantom, death of the current Phantom, his son Tom Tyler comes to his side and eventually takes up the mantle of the Phantom. Professor David, Diana, and Brian meaning he's basically a person from the Phantom comic strip, which, as a lot of people know, started in 1936, with the creator obviously being Lee Falk. So Professor David, Diana, Brian actually appear in the first ever chapter. They're quite well, you'd say, more than halfway in, we actually see the appearance of Professor David, Diana, and Brian. Now, the main part of this serial is basically going into the venture of jungles, obviously getting ambushed by obviously another organization or group of people that are sorted out to be bad people, which we do get to meet. The first person that eventually we do get to meet is Dr. Bremer, which Dr. Bremer is basically the honcho of this new group of people, which are basically made to be these bad guys in this serial, which I find interesting. You've got a Dr. Bremer, who technically is the bad guy, the constituent who's leading this group, and then you've got all these other constituents who are just following with what's going on. And then you've got the element of the keys, you've got the element of the current Phantom dying, and you've got the element of which happens, this element actually happens later in the serial, where we see a sort of, well, we see a sort of unmandated appearance from these sort of, I guess, different people that actually, I guess, live near the jungle but actually have their own kingdom. Because if you take back 1940s, the serial's been done in the 1940s. The comic series, The Phantom's only been around for, I think, 7 years or something. So yeah, it's been around for like 6 years or something, or 7 years. So you take that into account. You take that Lee Falk only has created in 1936. You take it that this serial has been appearing each week in 1943, and yeah, it's remarkable, because if you've got, say, a new serial coming out, these new movies that were coming out, people were obviously very invested, and people were very, very psyched about seeing this new movie that they probably haven't even heard of the character. They probably don't know what the character is, and they don't know what it stands for. They don't know what the character stands for. And either that, or there is obviously a build-up of fans and there's people wanting to watch the film, basically. And yeah, in the third chapter, where the Phantom is saved after being attacked by a lion, and a lot of elements that we've seen in this serial are actually basically, they're leading onto something else. Like each chapter, as I'll be saying, each chapter that they've actually done and each chapter that has been done has actually led onto something else. So basically, in chapter 4, we see the Phantom survive the attackers. He obviously, in a lot of these serials, we actually get to see that obviously he survives and lives to the next serial. And at the end, fast forward to the 15th chapter this week, we see fast forward to 15 chapters, fast forward to the last chapter, we actually see this serial, and I quite enjoyed this serial. Like, you've got many elements of where you've seen a cliffhanger at every single chapter. At the end of the chapter, it's got a cliffhanger, and it's just amazing that we get to see this serial. I know I've said that a couple of times now. It's just amazing and remarkable that we actually get to see this serial, and people are actually allowed to experience what normally people don't like to experience black and white films. Like, normally we usually see color when we're watching films or watching movies or anything above. And I just think it's remarkable. I think it's extremely abhorrent of the times that this serial was made in. And I just think it's a great serial. It's concluding. It obviously concluded with during World War II. And I just think it's a great serial. I extremely enjoyed it. If you would like to support PhantomCave reviews, then as always, you can subscribe, like, share, comment if you have any future serials that you'd like to put on the channel, and any ideas you'd like to say in the comment section down below. And as always, keep PhantomCave, and we'll see you next week on the PhantomCave YouTube channel.